Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleeds podcast. I am Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm good. It's never as fun doing these over Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm in West Virginia. Adam is home in Cincinnati. I'm in a hotel. He's in his comfortable home, and it's not the same, but we're gonna work through it. We're gonna work through it today.
Yeah.
Got some big news Sunday morning. Was it Saturday night or Sunday morning?
It was Saturday night because I was still awake, of course, but it was like 12:20, 12:30, something like that. So technically Saturday morning.
I woke up Sunday and I walked into my son's room and I said, Parker, the Lakers just traded Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. And he jumped up out of the middle of a dead sleep and went, no. He was immediately disappointed because he loves Anthony Davis and he loves his Lakers. Just like a lot of people, they don't like when pieces are moved. And I'm like, dude, you just got one of the top two or three players in the league. And my son immediately goes, "We already got the best in LeBron." So of course, but um it's hilarious. So then we had a basketball game. Okay. I walk in, it's a like I've got a question about this and I'll ask you, but I am amazed on how big this was.
Yeah.
I got every kid comes in and I'm like, and they immediately, Luca for AD, Luca for AD. And I'm like, what do you think about it? And almost every one of them thought that the Lakers were going to be unbelievable. Every one of them. I got one kid, last kid walks in, and I'm like, yo, what do you think, bro? What do you think about that trade? And he goes, I don't care. So 9 out of 10 kids knew about it immediately and had an opinion about it. And we're going to break down a whole lot of different parts of this. But
Mhm.
what was your initial reaction?
I just couldn't believe it because I didn't hear anything before that about it. And I was comforted to find out that even like the closest basketball insiders, all the writers and stuff, none of them knew about it. Even the people that are covering these teams.
Yep.
So, so I was like, okay, well, so I'm not just like losing my interest in in the NBA or something. It's
No,
a surprise for
nobody.
everybody.
In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of teams were apparently not very happy because they did not let anybody know they were shopping Luca. Like, hey, if Luca's being shopped, you could get something here, right?
That's what they
But
said. The Lakers were the only people that had an opportunity.
mhm,
Apparently it started between Nico Harrison and what's his face for the Lakers
Kobe's old agent.
a while
Give me a
ago.
minute. Give me a minute. It'll pop in my head.
Yeah, Rob Pelinka. And
There it is.
they they apparently like started talking about this a few weeks ago or something and just kind of like one of them just kind of threw it out like, what would you ever think about this kind of thing? And it was just like, huh, I don't know. And then apparently they brought it back up that day or whatever, and or maybe talked about it a couple more times, and that was it. So I was blown away, and then it's hard to think because the Lakers, from the Lakers' perspective, you're losing like one of the best defensive players in the league. Um, and a 2010 guy, pretty much. Um, Now you're going to fill those numbers, but it's going to be a totally different dynamic because they're completely different players. And Luka pretty much plays the same position as LeBron, and they're both always going to be out on the floor together. It's not like, not one of them not going to like back up the other. They're not going to alternate or any of that.
Yep.
So
They're both point forwards.
they're both point forwards. They're both great scorers and they're both great passers, which I think could be the this kind of the saving grace for them. You know what I mean? If they're both and we know LeBron is at least and Luka's a really good passer too. So if they figure it out how to play off of each other and then get whoever else is in the game involved. Um, I think they can really make it work because of that reason. If they're both willing to move the ball and usually one of the two of them end up with a good shot because of it, then great. Then it's going to work pretty well. Now, defensively, they're probably going to take a slide down. Um,
Probably
they are going to take a slide down. Thank you for the correction.
not. There's no probably.
Right, you're right.
You put one of the worst defensive players on your team for one of the like a top 10 worst defender and a top 10 best defender.
You're right.
Basically got traded for each other. That's what it was. There's no probably. They got worse. It's
Yeah.
3-on-5 now.
It's 3 on 5. It's almost, but they're so good maybe offensively that it might be like 6 on 5 on the other end.
You're right. It's no joke.
Um, so anyway, that's what I think from the Lakers, from the Mavericks perspective. I started hearing people right away say the Mavericks are now in a better position to win.
So crazy. So I heard so many like it, I've never heard of such a polarizing trade.
Hmm.
I've never seen it before. Usually it's pretty clear who got the better, or it's like, yeah, both teams did pretty well here. Like, there's people saying the Lakers just got terrible because their defense is going to be horrible. They took a step back. They've got to make another trade and get a big man. They've got to figure something out. Jackson Hayes isn't going to be that guy
He's going
unless
to
you
be
ask
excited because he might get some more run, but
unless you ask my son Parker. Parker's like Jackson Hayes will be fine. I didn't even know who Jackson Hayes was until Parker brought him up the other day.
really, he's a Moeller guy.
Yeah, I know. I forget about it all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, um, what was I saying? Oh, and then you hear a ton of like LA people like this is the greatest thing. Oh my gosh, Rob Pelinka just duped Nico Harris. Oh, this is the greatest move in the history of moves. And the same exact thing on Dallas. You heard everybody like this is it. Nico Harris just signed he just signed an extension and he's going to end up getting fired right afterwards. Like this was the worst trade in the history of Mavericks. And then and then all of a sudden then this came out. And this is what I want to talk about next.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, it become the next, so not the next day, but Monday, all of a sudden it's, well, Luka's fat and out of shape. Luke, they didn't want to sign him anyway. He's fat and out of shape, and he's not like make it sound like he wasn't even that good. Like that's almost what it sounded like on Monday, listening to the radio. It's all anybody talked about. So Monday morning quarterback, play the Monday morning quarterback. I feel like I've never heard anyone. I mean, yeah, people talk about Luka being look like he's out of shape and all that, but nobody's ever said that it was a bad thing or that it was affecting his play. I never heard that. Yes, he's had some injuries. Lots of people have had injuries that are in good shape and bad shape. I've never heard anybody talk about anything about being in shape and it hurting him at this point. Now all of a sudden it comes out of the woodwork. Oh well, the Mavs, he refuses to do any offseason workouts. He refuses to do all this. I feel like that would have came out before, right?
Well, yeah, and we we spoke about this briefly the other day, but it does. First of all, I did hear that he is like as heavy as he's been during the season ever, and like by a decent amount. Um, and he has been out for 5 weeks or something like that now, but um 5 or 6 weeks, and they were saying so. The first person I heard say it was Tim McMahon, who is an ESPN writer and lives in Dallas and covers a lot of Dallas games and is like covers Luka as much as anybody. Um, and so that's kind of why I believed it because it seemed like people were like blown away by this trade. How could they possibly trade Luka? And he was saying, look, this is what they've been saying, lately. You have heard about Luka being out of shape coming into training camp, especially, and all that. And that's the thing, like to your point, it's he's this good when he's technically out of shape, and but how much better could he be if he really committed himself to getting in good shape?
So I'll bring this up and I'll say this. I look at Jokic and I see a big, fat, out of shape guy. Nobody talks about him being out of shape and him anything. How much better would he be if he got in better shape? I only hear it when the trade is made. Luka Doncic averages 35 and a half minutes a game. My dude's playing a ton of basketball.
Mhm.
That's a lot of time. That's a lot of minutes.
Sure.
He's averaging, what did I looked it up a minute ago? Let's see if I can find it again. Almost 30 a night, 28 a night,
Mhm.
8 rebounds, 8 assists. If he never gets traded, nobody talks about how out of shape he is. It's still just Luka is fantastic.
Maybe you might be right, but
If
like
it,
right,
why does nobody say this about Jokic? It's just, Jokic is a big out of shape dude too, or
I
he
don't.
looks out of shape.
Yeah, I don't think I'm sure you've seen. There's a famous picture on the internet all the time of him as a kid, and he's got this big old. He's got these big, uh, lady parts up top, and he's got this big
Mhm.
old belly. Now he is a big guy, and he's not chiseled or anything. He's not. He doesn't look like Dwight Howard or any of that. But and yeah, he does look like he's. But I think he's in much better shape than. I think he's in better shape than his body looks, because he plays a lot of minutes too, and
So
probably not.
that's all I'm saying is that's all I'm saying is like people look if people are in better shape than their body looks, it can happen. When you're one of the top two players, top three players in the league, I feel like this is just kind of a way for the Mavs to kind of get it. My whole point is I feel like this is a way for the Mavs to put an excuse out there on why they didn't want to spend $340 million.
I that may very well be, and I mean it's the Mavs didn't say it. They said it to people who were covering, and then they reported it.
Well,
But
they said it.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean they're not. I don't think anybody there is. In fact, they were trying to dance around it, but really didn't completely say like that wasn't the case. Like
Well, they're
in their
not gonna, the
press
Mavs are not gonna come out and say it, but they'll leak
conference.
it here and there and get that story rolling. That's how these things go.
Sure. But it's I don't think it can I'm sure it comes across as an excuse to people, but it doesn't seem like it's not real. Like it seems like it's
Has
real.
it?
Like
So
it's
here's my thing. Zion Williamson out of shape and he can't play minutes. Like he has to, his minutes go down. He can't, his numbers are affected. He's got, things happen like that. Luka has done nothing but get better and better and better every year.
yeah. I I think because they have have had some concerns, but they weren't concerns enough to think this guy doesn't have a future here anymore until this year, because he's been out with that calf injury, which has happened. I think it's the second time he's had that calf injury, but they believe that and maybe that's information coming from the trainers. Like, yeah, he's got this injury, and it not that it wouldn't definitely wouldn't happen, but there's a lot less likely a chance that if he's not carrying all this extra weight that he doesn't have to carry. Because I forget what it was. He normally plays at like I forget like 250 or 253 or something like that, and he's like 280 now or something like that. Like he's pretty significantly more
That's
than his
significantly
reg
bigger.
yeah, his regular playing weight. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was I was surprised. So I think there was always that concern, but I think just now they realize his commitment we've seen like kind of consistently over time, and now it's really affecting him being able to be on the floor because by the way, he's hurt because he's carrying this extra weight, and while he's not playing, he's putting even more on. And I didn't call him a moron. I was just saying he's putting more weight on. And and but I think it seems like they're now like they're like, okay, this is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, maybe, and or the whale or the whatever you want to call them. And this is it. Like this was kind of the thing. Like, well, we have to pay him 300 or what was it? Four, no, whatever the number was that he would get in the Supermax deal if he stayed with them.
349 million, I think is the number.
349 and it's going to be like
Right.
269 or something like or two no
Yeah.
two like 19 or something or 16. So yes, so he's gonna lose like $116 million starting next year, I think, off of this or whenever his contract comes
Yes.
up again. So yeah, I think they just and that makes sense. Like, yeah, he's as good as a player is in the world, but his longevity, and that's the other thing too, people are talking about, like, he's still only 25. That's hard to believe. That like it feels like he's been in this league for 10 years.
And they
And
are giving up a 25-year-old best player in the league, like a perennial MVP candidate.
yep.
They traded away.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they
And the Lakers, obviously, and a big thing for me is on the Lakers side is obviously Anthony Davis, same thing, injury prone. I mean, it was an injured
yeah.
player for an injured player.
Yep.
He's injury prone as well. Like he's constantly out. He's played a lot more basketball than normal last couple years, but still injury prone. And he's getting older. And they realize this isn't like LeBron's not handing the franchise off to AD like it was originally, talked about. This is a legit hand the franchise off to this kid before he's 30 years old and he has 5 years of greatness.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird to um hear the guys on the Hoop Collective podcast, Windhorst and Tim Bontemps and Tim McMahon talk about one of them said Luka's not in his prime yet. I was like, what? That's crazy to think.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Think about that. Like 28 to 32, 28 to 33 is usually when the greats are at their best.
Yeah. Yeah, but here's the thing, like it does seem legit. If he's going to have an issue with putting on, and everybody puts on weight naturally as they get older, um, so or it's at least harder to not put on the bad weight. So it's even though I think he's gonna be 26 at the end of this month, but still, he's very young. But if you know, they're not gonna want to sign him to the longest supermax deal if they feel like, well, you know, if he signs a 5 or 6 year deal and he's gonna be in his early 30s then, and if he's gonna have these problems, then if he's not going to be able to like if he's going to be hurt all the time because he can't stop eating McDonald's or whatever it is,
He
then
likes beer.
he does like beer. Yeah. If he's bringing 12 packs into the locker room every day, then it's maybe he's not
John,
worth
hey,
exactly what the
John
Dallas
Kruk,
Mavericks said. What's that?
John Kruk did it. John Kruk did it.
John Kruk
And they
played a
did it
sport that
162 games a year, baby.
yeah. John Kruk
That
played
was a man.
first
That's he
base.
just. I listen. Hey, you be careful now. Be careful how you talk about first base.
Well, you don't have to be the greatest athlete in the world to play first base, but
Disagree. I disagree.
yeah,
I don't
well,
see
I,
any
I
NBA players
disagree.
out there
I have
doing
an
the
example.
splits.
I have an example.
John Kruk,
John Kruk.
every infielder that gets old, but they still want him to hit.
Yeah. Oh God. Um, yeah, I have an example. Prince Fielder. I have an example. Cecil Fielder. I have an
You gotta take
example.
Cecil
Ryan
Fielder.
Howard.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
Hanley
move on.
Ramirez couldn't make it, just went over to first base. Anyway, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
All that being said, LeBron's not going anywhere, right?
That was funny. It's funny that you said that because then
Butler just
people
got there's a lot of the Golden State talk,
Mhm.
right? So so the next thing is is LeBron, are they going to get rid of LeBron and try to rebuild this new thing? Which you're not just getting rid of LeBron. He's not going to allow that to happen. But if he doesn't want to,
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of three guys, I think, in the league that have a no trade clause or something like that. Um, but they were talking about like after the Luka trade, I saw a couple of things like, well, then maybe like because Golden State apparently is asking about every single All-Star. They're trying to add somebody at the trade deadline, and as a matter of fact, we just found out right before we started recording here that they did. Before we get to that though, yeah, they from what I understand, they asked about LeBron and they asked about Kevin Durant and trying to bring him back. Whatever it is, I don't imagine LeBron, although it wouldn't be that far to go from, well, it's kind of. Anyway, I was going to say Los Angeles to San Francisco, but that's a little further. If you went to like Sacramento or something, that wouldn't be as bad. But anyway, I don't, yeah, LeBron's probably not going to want to go anywhere unless he feels like there's an opportunity, unless they traded him to OKC or somebody that's ready to win right now, too,
yeah.
or Boston or something like that. But, um, yeah, I don't think LeBron's going anywhere. Have you heard anything different?
No, no. But I mean, that was a little thing that kept coming up. Right? It's just constantly being talked about. So LeBron's not going to go anywhere, right? So they need a big man. Is there another trade from the Lakers coming before tomorrow at whatever noon or 6 or whatever time the trade deadline's over?
Possibly.
If not, does that mean the Lakers gave up on this season?
No, I don't
So
think so.
that's the new thing is it went from Lakers fans thought this was the greatest thing to ever happen to all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, we can't play defense. If we don't score 140 points a night, we're screwed. And
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, maybe we're giving up on the season, trying to get rid of LeBron now, bring in an arsenal of draft picks or whatever else, and and build this whole new thing around Luka.
Yeah. Of course, if they did do a trade for LeBron in the next whatever 16 hours or however much his time is left, um, it would be they would be giving up on the season, of course. But um, from what I understand, they are still looking to add another big. So I don't know. Jonas Valanciunas got traded today. Um, there have already been a couple of guys that got traded, but we now know that anything could happen. I mean,
Anything can happen. Who would have thought Luka was going somewhere?
Giannis could be a Laker tomorrow, you know?
Good God. So are we just not playing defense at all now?
Giannis is a good defender.
So is LeBron when he wants to. But that's how Giannis is. Giannis plays great defense when he decides that he's going to play defense,
Yeah. Well,
which is,
he was a defensive player of the year in the past, so that was, he at least has that going for him.
I feel
Yeah,
like when LeBron locks in, he can play great defense for one time down the floor.
sure.
He
Absolutely.
just never locks in. I get on my kids all the time, our basketball team, when we switch for no reason.
Mhm.
I hate that. I hate when like it's not even a screen. Guys just cross under the basket and they just hand them off to each other. Number one, especially without communicating, they just do it. It's like if you're not talking, somebody's going to get goofed up in this.
Yep.
Number two is why are you doing that? LeBron, if you watch a Lakers game, LeBron passes players off. I mean, at least he talks back, but
Yeah.
he passes players so he doesn't have to move. If guys are ever they're in man and he plays a zone and he just tells
Yeah.
everybody switch off, do this and take him, I'll take him. And he's constantly doing that. That's the hardest thing for me that he does. That's how I mean, he's playing defense because he's in that spot and he's guarding a man. But the second that man leaves, he tells somebody else, that's yours, I'll take this. Can't stand that. Can't stand that.
Yeah. You can, if you have a team full of, or if it's a guard to guard switch or something, you can probably usually live with it. But everybody, especially at this age, we've got guys that are slower guards and quicker guards and different size bigs and quicker. And so, yeah, it's it's a little tougher to have him switch at this age, but
Absolutely.
um, but
So one more question on it.
yeah,
Oh, we'll I hate the out of shape Luka talk because he's an insane basketball player. And before this trade, he's a first or second best player in the league, is who he was. And then once the trade happened, all of a sudden he's this fat, out of shape guy that's terrible and don't know how much longer he's going to
no,
be able to play. Not
nobody's
terrible,
saying
not
that.
terrible, not terrible. Fat and out of shape, and who knows how much longer this guy's even going to be able to play. Never even talked about until the trade happens. Up to the trade, he's one of the top two players in the league. I will I'll just leave that at that.
Who's the other one?
You go to a team with a guy who is known for spending multi-million dollars a year just on his body, and his looks has the body of a 26-year-old uh, uh, uh whatever model. Like the dude, like LeBron is sliced up still at 40 years old.
Mhm.
Is there a hope from the
So are you.
Lakers? Well, 41, but
There you go.
that's the decline. 40 was my peak, slowly on a decline now.
I'm
Uh,
sorry. Go ahead.
you're good. So that being said, it is said that Luka doesn't care about what anybody says and he just refuses to do all these things and get better. When you get a guy like LeBron James that comes up to you and goes, "Look, homeboy, this is what we're doing. Meet me at my house every single day. This is what we do every single day. You're doing this every single day." Is there a chance he listens?
Yeah, there is a chance. There's got to be a respect that he has for LeBron that, the greatest players command this respect unless they're complete jerks. But LeBron's not like that. He cares about his teammates um and I guarantee you he's going to I would think he's going to have those discussions with Luca and do it in whatever way he thinks is necessary because Luca might not respond no matter who it is. If you go at him like,
Sure.
hey, you need to this isn't the 80s where Dave Parker and Eric Davis took Barry Larkin into an alley after the game when he struck out in the ninth inning or whatever and told him you better get your act together. This is this is modern day NBA, um, where I'm sure he's going to do it delicately. He's got to learn a little bit more. I'm sure he already knows Luca well, but they're going to spend every day together, like you said, and so hopefully they can build some kind of rapport here, and then especially after the season, whatever happens this season happens, but um, especially, building that time together. And at the end of this season, he's got to figure out, if he's going to sign with the Lakers in the future and all that kind of stuff. And if LeBron plans on staying there, I'm sure he'll want him to stay, and then he will try to influence him in every way to be as good as he can. So that's what I hope. I hope. And here's the thing too. Luca usually looks out of shape. He doesn't play like he's out of shape really, but we don't, he's never really been to where we're like, oh God, he looks incredible. But he has had those, like everybody does. We've seen those pictures in the offseason where they're like, uh-oh, watch out for Luca this year because he lost 15 pounds or whatever. He's one of those guys that seems to pick it up and put it back down like James Harden.
He's
Uh,
he's 26, dude. He can do that.
He can do that. So there you go. So maybe that is where they're seeing that. Like, look, he has more control over this than he's using. He can be in good shape if he wants to, and he's just not as serious about it as we would like him to be. So maybe that is where Dallas is coming from. And maybe this change of scenery, maybe these different people that he's going to be around, hopefully that motivates Luca a little bit more, and he does. He starts really taking care of his body better, and we'll see the greatest player to ever live.
He's supposed to he's supposed to be back next week, I think. They said that he's supposed to play before the All-Star break.
Okay, I hadn't heard that yet. I was gonna ask you if you heard that. Okay,
Yeah, I did hear that he's supposed to be back before the All-Star break. So um sometime next week. And then Dallas plays LA on February 25th. I
Yeah.
know that game's there. I know that game. Oh, Parker's already got that one on his list. Games
Anthony
to
Edwards
watch.
Anthony Edwards says he's buying front row tickets for that game and going to it. It's like they play the day before and the day after, and he's gonna fly to wherever they play and watch it.
That's
Uh,
awesome. I love that.
yeah. But so, and another thing, real quick, there are people who have said um, that the Mavericks are one of the best two or three teams in the West now after this trade.
Well, I
What
mean,
do you think
think
about
about
that?
it. They went to the NBA Finals last year.
Hmm.
It's a great team, but they went to the NBA Finals on the back of Luka Doncic.
Hmm.
Doncic. Sorry, I always want to say Doncic, but it's Doncic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They went on the back of him. You're not going on the back of AD. They got tremendously older. I mean, they're still going to be really good. I don't know that they're NBA Finals good. I don't know that they're better than they were in the playoffs last year. I
Okay.
don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I still love Kyrie. I absolutely love Kyrie when it comes to the basketball side of things, but I just don't know that I don't know. So apparently, the basketball insiders all say that they got better and the Lakers got worse. But obviously, the people made some bets right away because LA or Vegas has has LA getting better and Dallas getting worse. So that tells you where the people feel because they're just going off the money coming in. That number's moving up and down with the money.
Right. Right. Yeah. Isn't it funny how Vegas has the ability to manipulate the way people feel about how good or bad teams are?
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Well, that's an interesting one. So let's talk real quick about right before we started here, Jimmy Butler was traded to the Golden State Warriors. And for I, I think I saw something where there's five teams involved in this. I know at least
I
three.
I didn't see the whole thing. There was three involved in uh the Aaron Fox trade,
Yeah.
Zach LaVine trade,
Yeah.
um, because the Chicago Bulls got absolutely nothing. Well, not absolutely nothing, but they didn't get a star out of it, right? Like
Oh yeah.
they didn't, there was no star going there. I still think that's hilarious. But the Bulls have been a terrible franchise ever since Michael left.
They had some good years in
Oh, I
the
take that back.
Derrick
You're right.
Rose,
Derrick Rose years.
Joakim
Yes.
Noah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But since then,
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I haven't seen all the details on it. All I saw was Butler to the let's take a look and see actually was we have the ability to do this, Adam.
yeah.
You
Yeah, I
said how many
know.
teams you think were involved?
I thought I saw something that said five. I only actually saw three. I know the Pistons are involved in it at least. Because they got somebody from both of those teams. But I know Wiggins. I know Andrew Wiggins. Um,
Five teams.
five teams. There you go.
Yep, five-team blockbuster trade. Three blockbuster trades in 2 days.
We still have another that we still have the last day to go
And
too.
we're not even there yet. Yep. So here's the full detail. So the Warriors get Jimmy Butler. The Heat get Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, and a protected first round pick. The Pistons get Lindy Waters the third and Josh Richardson. The Jazz get Dennis Schroeder. He has just been that
Oh,
poor guy has just moved around like crazy
he sure
lately.
has. And now he's
Don't
with
buy a
one of the
house.
worst teams in the league.
I know. Don't buy a house. Just don't buy a house, Dennis, because you're just getting moved everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the Raptors get Kyle Anderson.
Okay. Okay. So that is pretty well spread. So the Warriors pretty much spread their guys out because if
Yes,
I was gonna say if Miami got all three of those guys,
that would be
that wouldn't have
crazy.
been a bad trade for them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but okay. So it's all spread out. The big one is Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors. What do you think? How does that change the Warriors in your opinion?
I don't know. Um, I've watched this Warriors team play probably 4 or 5 times this year, and they go as Steph goes. They had nothing else offensively. Wiggins, Wiggins gets you 12, maybe 20 on a great night, but he wasn't putting up numbers like a first round, like a number one overall pick, could possibly do. Of course, we know how the NBA draft is. It's literally a lottery. Um, but anyway, I I don't know. I don't know that Jimmy Butler in old, I don't want to say old either. He's not old, but in aging Jimmy
35, I
Butler.
think.
Yeah, I don't think an aging Jimmy Butler is the answer that the Golden State Warriors fans wanted. I think they would have rather had the aging LeBron James or the aging Kevin Durant, especially probably Durant at this time because you still got a few more years out of Durant.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable with KD, right? They're all comfortable with KD. They know KD. He's been there before. I also think, I also think that the Warriors are handicapped because half the star players in the NBA love Draymond Green and half of them hate Draymond Green. So they're slightly handicapped all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And exactly like you said, as the Warriors go, or as Steph goes, the Warriors go. And Steph has struggled. This has been his toughest year so far. Um, it's been hard to watch because he's still my favorite player, I would say, in the league. And
He can still
it's
shoot.
true. Huh?
He can still shoot.
He can still shoot. He's had some games where he just was not the same shooting the ball either,
But
but
he
he
has to, he's
still,
forced to take more. He's not,
yeah.
he's
Yeah,
forced to, he's
and you don't
forced to
have
do.
Clay on the other side of the floor. Or, yeah, yeah.
Nobody's spreading the floor for him. He's the focal point. He doesn't have a KD. He doesn't have a Clay. He doesn't have anybody. It is all they are all over him.
And Jimmy Butler is not the shooter to spread it out either. He's not a three-point shooter. I mean,
No, but he is good. He can penetrate and kick,
mhm.
which is big. But that just means, hey, how many teams how many teams tell their defense when you're guarding Steph Curry, go ahead and come off and help when somebody's driving. It just
Oh
shade
yeah.
off of him and help. Zero. There are zero
Right.
teams that say that. I
Right.
don't care if the guy drives right by you. I'd rather have him taking a slightly contested layup than Steph a wide open three.
Of course. Um, but yeah, and I agree with you. Jimmy Butler will be interesting there, and I hope he. It's tough because I've always liked Jimmy Butler, but when he gets unhappy at a place, he kind of turns out to be like a Chris Paul or a James Harden or something where they get so grumpy and they just get it in their mind they're done wherever they are, and especially with James Harden a couple of times, and at least the second time this has happened with Jimmy Butler. And he was so bad. They suspended him like 3 times, and then the last time they're like, "You're just done. You're not playing anymore. We're gonna move you no matter what." And then I think he's one of the other guys who has the trade clause, maybe because he said,
No, I didn't think it was
"Was he
him. I
not?"
thought the other one, I knew, oh, maybe he is, because I think Bradley Beal randomly is one of the other ones. And then
Yeah,
I don't know who the third is. It could be because I was weirded out that Bradley Beal got that in his contract last year.
yeah. Um, but what was I going to say? Jimmy Butler said earlier in the maybe over the weekend or even a couple of days ago, said that he was not going to sign an extension with Golden State if he gets traded there. And the only team he was interested in going to was Phoenix. And Phoenix has been talking about trading Bradley Beal for a while, so it seemed like that was a possibility for a
Yeah.
trade there. But it sounds like Jimmy Butler is going to be there until his contract is, and I think he has a player option for next year, if I remember that right. And it sounds like he would be smart to just pick that up.
Yeah.
because after this, I'm not sure anybody's going to pay him big money. I mean, he's
Right.
still good, but he's
Yeah.
not an all-star anymore, and he's had enough problems with front offices and coaching staffs and all that where you're like, is this guy going to turn into a
Is
problem
it
if he's
worth it?
happy?
Is it worth it at 36, 37 years old?
Right. That's right.
No, it's not. It
So
sucks, but
anyway,
that's the business side of it, right? I mean, it is what it is. That's the business side of it. It's just not worth it.
yep. Yeah. There have been some other trades. Of course, the De'Aaron Fox trade was probably the next biggest one, and I'm very excited
Did you
for the
see?
Spurs.
Did you watch it at all? Did you watch that?
I saw the highlight of his, I think his first shot, or his first three or something like that, coming down the floor. So I'm excited about that.
Saw a little bit of him and Chris Paul on the court at the same time,
Mhm.
which is
Yep.
fun. I was eating dinner and I was watching on one of the TV, so I couldn't hear it, but ESPN's talking about like it cracks me up how far people have to reach to find something to talk about because there's
Yeah.
7 ESPN networks and everybody they're like it was how do the Spurs adjust to a left-handed point guard?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you run stuff on the other side of the floor more often or something. I don't know. But I think you don't have him run the point. Like Chris Paul is a true point guard. Let
Absolutely.
him run because he would love to get De'Aaron Fox shots and opportunities wherever he wants to on the floor. Of course, around wherever they want to run it through Victor Wembanyama, because he's still, of course, the number one option there. But
Well,
uh,
when you're on a run, when you're running, I mean, and you got Chris Paul with the ball, and you have Darren Fox just running past people, and you have one of the best passers to ever play the game, putting a quarter court, three-quarter court dime on him. That should be fun to watch.
yeah, I hope they do get out and run a little bit more with De'Aaron Fox. Yeah. Um, Yep. It's going to be, I'm excited to see it. There were a couple guys who they traded that I liked off the bench, but De'Aaron Fox is going to have more of an impact, I think.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, I'm excited to see what the Spurs do the rest of the year. And yeah, and then I'm excited to see what happens between the rest of tonight and then tomorrow at whatever 3 o'clock or whenever the trade deadline's up.
I hope the Lakers find a way to get a big man, to get a defensive presence somewhere, so or some kind of defensive stopper,
Yeah.
right? Jackson Hayes or whoever else they bring in to that can be in the middle, or run a lot of LeBron or even Luka. I mean, they're both 6'9", 6'10". You can run a lot of them and just, but they need somebody that can play defense.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be
If
fun.
you're if you're if you're JJ Redick, do you walk in and find everything that says every news article that talks about the Lakers defense and just blow it up and have posters all over practice about the Lakers' terrible defense and now they're the worst defense ever and
Mhm.
LeBron and the Doncic don't play defense. I would put that everywhere.
I would put it everywhere.
Everywhere.
I would talk it up big to my players, and
Yep.
then I would walk into my office and go, "We are going to be terrible defensively."
I would look directly in Luka's face and be like, this is what they say about you. This is this, and I'm putting this here because I want you to see it every day. Because this is what we have to deal with now.
Yeah,
Yeah, what are you gonna do here? Do you care? Does it matter?
yeah, yeah. I would love to be in the room when JJ is talking with his assistant coaches about how they're going to change things around Luca. That would be a really difficult and fun thing to have to deal with.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
yeah.
I agree.
Well, okay. We've probably exhausted about as much of the trade deadline as we need to. I want to know really quick, and we don't have to talk a lot about this, but um, the Super Bowl is this. Oh, sorry, the big game is this weekend. The Super
It's
game,
the Super Bowl.
the
Sue
Super.
us.
Oh, okay. I
We're in the negative
well,
on this show.
sue him. maybe.
You can sue
But
both. You can sue the nosebleeds. That's not an entity. So go ahead.
okay. So anyway, the Chiefs and Eagles are in the extraordinary game this year again, and the I don't know. Chris. I got to confess to you something about the Super Bowl here.
You don't care.
I'm I'm starting to almost root for the Chiefs just because I'm sure you can figure this out. Just because everybody in the world hates them. And I don't really care that much. Sure, we're all tired of the same people winning all the time and all the attention they get all the time and everything. But they are
But in
really,
the end,
really good.
everybody loves a dynasty. 20 years from now, everybody loves a dynasty.
Yes.
So
And
say
yeah,
what you want.
I already have an appreciation for that. Um, yeah, I wish the Bengals were there instead of them, but they aren't, and the Chiefs are there again. And I'm stuck. Bigger than everybody hating them is all of the stuff I see that people are convinced that the officials are winning games for them. I'm 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 done with all that. That's
Can I tell you
that's what's
something?
make that is what's making me want to root for the Chiefs.
Adam, the thing that I hate more than anything in the world is the first one is the officials are doing this for them. That's number one. Number two is here's the script, the NFL script, the NBA script, the Major League Baseball script. Can't stand that. Those are the two things. Okay, you are a 40 to 65-year-old person,
Mhm.
a lot of them in decent shape, and you're in charge of
Thank you.
there's four of you on the field, and you're in charge of 22 of the most supreme athletes in a game that is fast as lightning. This goes for the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball for that matter. The pitch is coming in at 100 miles an hour and moving 8 inches to 12 inches on a 100-mile-an-hour slider. Like that's ridiculous. Good luck. Where did it cross the plate? Yeah, okay. And you're 5 feet behind the plate, and you have to know where it crossed the plate when it moved a foot and a half. Like, so no, that's one of the hardest things in the world to do. Now, I will say this, and it's always been said, when you are refereeing, when you're still watching the game, you know who's playing the game. You can be refereeing a little kid's game and just be sitting there and you just know, like I do it to refs all the time. I'll walk up and I'll be like, hey, oh boy over there, number 13, that boy can play, can he? And he's like, and they'll be like, yeah, he can. And they might get away with a little something. It just is what it is because there's a little bit more of a respect factor, this, that, the other, for the stars or whatever you want to call it, the special players. I don't care what you call it that way. It is what it is, right? Because sometimes those guys are in all too. They're humans.
Yeah.
But they are getting paid way, 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 way too much money and could lose everything, everything if they're throwing it on purpose. I don't think that's ridiculous. The referees, that thing kills me. The script irritates me even more. Do you know how hard it is to get kids to do something you want to do? And then to have people on both sides of the ball going 100 miles an hour, giant strong men beating each other on the offensive and defensive line, literally throwing fists and swim moves and it's scripted for Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson to almost be tackled, almost go down, miss going to their knee by an inch, get out, move, and then run and throw a 60-yard pass to a guy who just happened to blow right by another unbelievable player. Give me a break. I'll never forget in the All-Star game when Cal Ripken Jr. hit that home run off Chan Ho Park.
Yep.
And I walked into school at Mr. Darnell. And we started, I'm talking about the All-Star game, and he's like, oh, they just scripted that, made it happen. I said, he hit a 90. I don't care if you said, yeah, I'm going to give him a 90-mile-an-hour fastball over the middle of the plate. You can say that. You still got to hit it out. If they could hit it out every time in batting practice, you'd see nothing but home runs. But it's not how it works.
There's a video playing in my mind right now of a 15, 16-year-old Chris Witt losing his mind on Mr. Darnell for saying that.
Hey, there was a point in time, Bud, where it was a big joke. Like, if you said something to me that messed with baseball or messed with my thoughts on baseball, you better be ready. If you said something stupid, you better be ready. Mike Little used to get the biggest kick. He'd be like, we'd be sitting at a bar. I'm like 22, 23 years old. And he'd just sit there and he'd get up, go to the bathroom, and there'd be a guy right next to him. He'd be like, "Hey, Chris, this guy said Pete Rose, something about Pete Rose, da 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 da." And that would get this guy to say something to me, even though he never did. And now I'm like, "Are you Jesus?" And then next thing you know, I'm in a heated discussion, letting this guy know how big of an idiot he is. I had no problem telling people what I thought. But anyway, but in the same breath, that's what I'm saying right now. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm not going to root for the Chiefs, but I'm starting to feel that way. Like everybody's against them, it seems. And then all this stuff about the refs handing them calls and stuff. It's gotten under not even under my skin, but just I've heard it enough.
It's annoying.
It's annoying. Um, but
So
truly, I don't really. I think I would rather see the Eagles win this game, but I'm fine either way. Who would you like to see, and who would your money be on to win the game?
my money would be on the Chiefs. To bet against the Chiefs is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. I love how this is one of that the Chiefs are so lucky, and this is one of the worst teams they've ever had, and somehow they went 16-2 and should have been 17-1, but they just didn't play anybody. Right? Like whatever. They're a really good team. This is a fantastic team. There's a ton of really good veterans. They've got some good young players. It's a really good. Their defense is insane. It's a really good football team. I want to see Saquon Barkley get a ring. He
Oh
had to
yeah.
deal with the New York Giants for so long.
Hmm.
He's a Penn State guy, my cousin's a Penn State guy, still works at Penn State, and I'm a Penn. So in that case, I do like Penn State football, right? Kajana Carter, Saquon Barkley, Arrington. Trying to think of what was that quarterback? Kerry, Colin Kerry,
Gary Collins, yeah.
Eric Collins.
The exact opposite of Colin Gary.
Uh, you autographs me with that one.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash, Kevin Nash. I did that yesterday in basketball practice. This dude made two great passes, and I was like, "Get him, Kevin Nash." And he goes, "Who?" And I was like, "Oh, I do that all the time. Steve Nash."
You should have just went with it and gave him the wolf pack.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah, what was that? Wolves kissing? I
I think it
don't.
was, yeah, they kissed each other. They hit each other with the mouth of the wolves.
Sorry, anyway.
Um, but I really, really, truly would love to see Saquon Barkley get a ring. I think he has he has made that position relevant again. The running back position was almost irrelevant. He has obviously shown what it does, what a great running back does. Joe Mixon, same way. Joe Mixon goes to the Texans, and they were fantastic. And Joe Mixon was a huge part of the reason they were fantastic before he got hurt. Uh, and guys like David Montgomery and guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and Cook for Buffalo, like you need a stud running back. You need one. Like it's a very important thing to have. Um, but anyway, I would love to see him win. I think, yes, of course, I want the Eagles to win for all the obvious reasons as a Bengals fan. Can we do this real quick? Can I just riff for a second?
Of course.
I go to a little Mexican joint for dinner tonight. Sit at the bar, and next to me is a fella and his stepdad. He called himself his stepdad at first, and then come to find out he called himself. You ever seen that movie back in the 80s, My Three Dads? And I was like, with Ted Danson? He goes, is he from Cheers? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I'm really good friends with his mom. Like the kid like spent the night at his house last night. He takes him to school. Like his I guess his mom works night shifts or something.
Oh,
So he's got him, and then his mom's got a girlfriend, got a boy, got an actual boyfriend, and then the boy's got an actual dad. So he says like, the three dads raised this kid.
that is a that is a modern family, boy.
This little kid is he's 8 years old, maybe. And he's like, "This ain't my first rodeo. You got to put take." He's making paper airplanes, throwing them at. He knows the bartender by name, throwing paper airplanes at him, running around the entire place like a crazy man. But he was a Chiefs fan.
Okay.
So he kept looking at me and talking. I was at a bar today where everybody wanted to talk. Everybody that sat at the bar wanted to talk, and this little kid included. And I told him that I was a Bengals fan, and he started laughing at me.
What did they say? Are they from somewhere else? Or are they from West
No,
Virginia?
when it's like, think about all the 49ers fans and Dallas
Yeah.
fans that are out there, right? And Bulls fans and Lakers fans and
Yankees fans for sure.
Yankees fans. When you grow up with a team that is going through something insane, you just naturally become that some people don't have an NBA or don't have an NFL team. There's no NFL team in West Virginia.
The Big Red Machine was that way for a lot of people around the country too in the 70s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge, huge for people like that. Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, that was then I had another guy sit down next to me who used to live in Ohio State, and he only wanted to talk to me. He tried to buy me like 7 drinks. I'm like, no, man, I'm just having a Pepsi and then I'm heading out of here and just eat my food. You want one of my wings? No, I don't want to eat one of your chicken wings at a Mexican restaurant. Who gets chicken wings at a Mexican restaurant anyway? It's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Anyway, Ben was a nice guy. He showed me his
Southwestern hot wings.
He showed me his Ohio State tattoo to make sure he knew I knew that he was from Ohio too. He's been in West Virginia for 25 years. You're from West Virginia, but
Yeah.
anyway, fun day
Wow.
today. So anyway, some little kid laughed at me because I was a Bengals fan and he's a Chiefs fan. So
Well, that's okay.
yeah,
That's all right.
absolutely.
Maybe in the next 5 years, the Bengals will overtake the Chiefs as the best team in the AFC, and
Joe
it'll all
Burrow
work out.
will win 3 in a row, and then he'll be the one that's the next Tom Brady. Which, by the way, when did Joe Montana just all of a sudden be nobody? How
I
did
know.
when did so like Tom Brady had to work and get all these championships to be better than Joe Montana, right? And do all these things. And then yet Patrick Mahomes is about to be better than Tom Brady, but he just skipped over Joe Montana.
That's a good
Uh,
point.
I don't think I don't think that's how it works, but I don't think that's
Yeah. Maybe he turns out to be better than Joe Montana as a Chief, because Joe Montana played at the Chiefs at the end of his career.
yes, he did to the playoffs.
Yeah. Um, yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay, last thing on the Super Bowl. A few days ago it was Chiefs -1.5. I don't know if it still is that. Is that something I mean that's basically just taking them to win almost, but um
Yeah.
is that the same as it is now?
We're gonna
Still
we're gonna
1.5?
find out here. It's gonna take about
Oh,
10 seconds for it to pull
I
up, but we'll figure it out.
I could
What's your question then?
you're doing all the producer work. I could probably assist in that.
No, no,
Um,
no. It's a piece of cake. This is popping up now.
just seeing if you like the spread or if it changed at all, if you would consider, well, but maybe we just go with
Still
what
low.
does the spread have to be for you to bet on the Eagles?
3,
Okay. If it
two and
was
a half. I guess 2.5.
okay. All right. I mean, it could get there, right? Uh,
It's at 1.5. It ain't moving.
Not moving. Yeah, it hasn't moved in
It ain't moving.
3 or 4 days now.
This is gonna be where it is. There ain't enough money that's gonna move it. If anything, it's not gonna move more than half a point
Yeah.
from here to the game. And I don't think it moves. I think it stays at 1.5. It is, I mean, you're talking about two teams that have proven that they are really, really good right now and playing insane football. So I think this is going to be a good game. You better be up by 9 points with less than 2 minutes to go if you want to win, if you want to beat the Chiefs. You got to be up by two scores, and there has to be less than 2 minutes. It's the only way you're going to beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no argument with that. Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10, your excitement for Kendrick Lamar at halftime.
3.
3. Okay.
I think Lil Wayne should be there. I don't think there's any reason for Kendrick Lamar to be playing in New Orleans. I think that's ridiculous. They've been making a pretty big point about getting where the game's played, having people from that area be there, and I think Wheezy has got more hits than the Beatles.
Oh,
I'm kidding. He doesn't have more hits than the Beatles, but
I don't know.
that's a joke that a buddy of mine always uses when he's playing softball. He get a hit and
Oh,
he, I got more hits than the Beatles.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that in a
Anyway,
baseball reference.
yeah. So um and look, Kendrick is not my time frame.
Hmm.
Um is Kendrick Lamar, is he the one that won like a Pulitzer Prize or something weird like that, or a Nobel Prize? Didn't he win something crazy
Oh, I don't know.
for his writing?
I don't know. I think he just won a Grammy for a
He won
diss
like 12
album.
Grammys. Yeah,
Yeah.
he this poor Drake. That's rough. He sang it at the Grammys and everybody there was singing it. Like that's pretty rough.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I hear.
so who was the guy that did that? Hold on a second. There is
Rapper
um
that won a Nobel Prize, huh?
Pulitzer Prize. It was a Pulitzer Prize.
Pulitzer. Okay. That's for writing. Hmm.
Is that what that is for writing? So he won a
I
Pulitzer Prize for writing rap music.
Wow.
Is that
Huh.
insane?
It is insane.
Um,
Or
Anyway, so
maybe
that
not. I
tells
don't
me
know.
that the guy must be really good. But if he won one, but Eminem never did, like no, like you can't your rhyme scheme. There's nobody that rhyme schemes like Eminem. That's the best rhyme schemer in the history of the game.
There's To me, the bar is set way different now. By far the most talented rapper I've ever heard is Harry Mack.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and it's not, I don't think it's even
he's
close
good.
because he's got a skill set that I don't believe any other
Insane.
rapper has or has ever had. So, but it's a different thing too. It's almost like a different genre. But
Kind of.
for him to be able to write on the spot is what he's really doing and make it all work perfectly,
It's
and
freestyle. I mean, it's an insane freestyle.
it all makes sense, and he keeps it all positive too. Like I mean, it's I could talk for hours about
Isn't
Harry
that the
Mack.
guy that was it Belichick or somebody had him go to a NFL team and he had like six people say different things and he just flowed out a rhyme off of all that. And like you said, it was all positive and everything like that.
Yep, he did it with the Yankees too. He did it with
Yeah.
he's gone to he did it in front of he did it for Will Smith, I think, and Martin Lawrence, the last Bad Boys movie that came out. He did it for Ice Cube and somebody else was just making a movie like a year or two ago together. So, and he was like, and then like you kind of see like when he does it in front of like established rappers that haven't seen him yet. That's my favorite thing because they're like,
Yeah.
okay, and even like on the street stuff, which is most of what he does. He's like, he stops people and says, "Hey, I do freestyle raps. Can I do a freestyle rap?" And some of the people are going,
Yeah.
"Okay, I hope this is going to be
Yeah.
good or something like." And
Yeah.
blows everybody away every time.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
watched probably 300 hours worth of video of Harry Mack rapping. It's crazy. Anyway,
He's good. But no, Kendrick, listen, I don't like his voice.
yeah,
I'm not a
same.
fan of his voice.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's what gets me. I love a guy that I love a guy that can that can flow and bring words in that it's not the word he's using, but it sounds like it and it turns into another word. I love all that stuff, right? Like Eminem does that real good. Like I love all those things. Uh, but I mean, I don't know any of his songs.
Same. And here's the
So
only song I know, and here's the problem I have with it is it's not they not like us, it's they're not like us. I wish he would just, say it better. I wish he would use the correct grammar, you know?
you
It
want a Pulitzer Prize for writing?
exactly. That's ultimately the problem in the United States of America. It's just we've let go of English.
What?
That's what my campaign I'm running on that premise is um make America use proper grammar again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's funny. We were sitting there with some parents the other day after a game, just having a few cocktails at somebody's house, and somebody started talking about how they got a text and how annoyed they were because they used two wrong. And then everybody's like, "Oh my God," when they don't use their right, and everybody, me myself, I'm the same way. Like I really focus to make sure I use the correct to and there, and we're all talking about it. Like, how can you not do? You have to be like, if you can't do that, don't send me a message. Don't worry me. And it was that's where we've come. That's where who we are now. That's
yeah,
the age demographic we are. That's who we are.
because everybody younger than us, all you gotta do is get on the internet one time, and it's like it's almost like you don't belong if you use the correct spelling and grammar and
Ugh.
stuff. It- I
I hate like when anybody texts me something that is like SMH, shake my head, right? I immediately, if you don't send that to me, don't send it to me because I'm immediately gonna go, silly mom hairs. What does that mean? Like, don't do that because I need you to use the words.
yeah,
Use the words.
yeah, I know.
And
I have a
don't
hard
use
time
ones
with
that are
that.
like LMTLTA. What? What? That's too many. That's too many. That's too many.
Yeah.
I feel like laugh out loud and just kidding are the only ones that are allowed. And I don't think anybody says JK anymore.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
It's
I
gone.
don't know. I didn't get the decoder ring out of the cereal box, so I can't decode your I don't know how to do it.
I
Just speak to
love
me. Speak to me like a
Well,
real
can I write
person.
that down? Can I write that down?
What?
I didn't get that decoder ring out of the cereal
Use it.
box.
Please use it. Don't
So
make me decode your stuff.
I'm big on when people tell me something or like they don't tell me something and I go, "Oh, sorry. I left my crystal ball at home today. I
There
couldn't
you go.
figure out what you wanted to know. Couldn't figure it out." Like, but I like for that instance specifically my decoder ring. I like that.
Switch it. Yeah, switch them around. Use both.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Um, we started talking about how much it bothers us, the people blaming, teams winning or losing on officials and that kind of thing. And when we were talking about that, I was thinking this is going to lead us right into our Mount Rushmore, and it not necessarily things that people say, but the people themselves, uh, people that I would consider slime belly gutter snipes.
It's pretty harsh thing to be.
Yeah. SBGS, if you, I mean, So Mount Rushmore of SBGSs. Um,
What do you got, Adam? Let's
what
hear him.
do you want me to go first?
Yeah, good.
I so I'm I God, this was tough, man. There are a lot of people, and I looked through 1,000 lists, on the internet and everything, worst people of all time, or worst people in sports, worst people here and there. And I'm like, so many of them were like, okay, I understand why this person's on this list, but I mean, they don't bother me that much. Whatever.
Right.
So some of them I went just off the top of my head, and some of them actually, a couple of these guys were on those lists, but most of these were off the top of my head. So, but I have a list of like, I don't know, 10 or 12 maybe. So I gotta pick, but I'm gonna go number one. I have a number one, and that's Bill Laimbeer. Bill
Okay.
Laimbeer
I like it.
is tops for me. Larry Bird hated him, Michael Jordan hated him, and that's all I need. My guys
Yep.
hate him. Um, Filthy player and all that. Another guy that I'm gonna put on there in the exact same vein, and you might not like this one, but I'm putting John Starks on there, buddy.
Doesn't
I
bother
didn't
me.
like a guy less. I mean,
I know.
everything about him, including last year when he was sitting on the floor at the Knicks playoff games and kept walking on the floor and getting involved in the game and talking to the players and I'm gonna move on before I lose my cool.
I
Um,
love that's a perfect example.
yeah, yeah. Um, you know what? I think I just watched a documentary over the last week or so, or last weekend, I guess, on a fella who is in the news a lot lately, and and I didn't realize all the trouble he's gotten into and all the things he's done. And there are still rumors that weren't even in this documentary that I've heard about too, that might be true as well. But we'll call it all allegedly until he goes through all these trials. P. Diddy, Sean Combs is a rough fella. Boy, here's the thing too. I was never into his music. Like, I just never was a big fan of his songs. Now, some of them got really popular and I knew them, but I never was really into his songs, and that really doesn't have anything to do with it. But probably made it a little easy. Like if I loved his music, it might be harder for me to put him on this list. But I mean the guy just beat women and put people in positions that change their lives forever. A lot of people don't like Justin Bieber, but apparently he was a lot of bad stuff happened to him because of P. Diddy. And anyway, maybe I'll throw that guy on there. And one more, we'll jump back into basketball because that's the only thing I know about. Um, gosh, yeah, I'm gonna go Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas, I he was a good basketball player. Um, he got in trouble for bringing a gun into the locker room because I forget what the whole story was, but he brought a gun in to intimidate somebody or something, and he has a podcast. And I don't watch the podcast, but I've seen a lot of clips, and boy, is he really unlikable. He has some outrageous takes, and not just because
Which is why he had the podcast.
which is why he has a podcast. And there are other people that I feel that way about that are making a lot of money in the media because they were former players, and I sometimes I feel like just say the most outrageous things to make sure they can continue to make that kind of money. But Gilbert Arenas also, like,
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce is another one like that. Yes. Um, I feel that way about Kendrick Perkins, to be honest. Kevin Garnett, but Gilbert Arenas to me is the worst
I
of
don't know about KG. I think KG is just
here.
KG. I think
No
Perkins
question.
says things purposely. I think Paul Pierce says things
Yeah,
purposely.
you're right.
KG's just KG, bro.
KG's just KG, and he was for a while. He was like one of, if not like after Jordan left, he might have been my favorite player in the league for a couple of years. But after I heard all the stories about how he speaks to people and stuff, and now, and that's part of the thing.
The Charlie Villanueva
Oh,
stories.
yeah. I know. Um,
He's such an asshole.
he is. Gosh, the yeah. And what we were just talking about with the grammar stuff, it bothers me every day. I hear that stuff from all kinds of people every day, and it bothers me more and more all the time. I'm really getting to be a an old fella about that, but Gilbert Arenas is that way. He just, he says crazy things to be crazy, and he curses a ton, and he screams at the top of his lungs about it. And all of that combined, I'm just like, gosh, I can't stand this guy. Anyway, I've got some other folks on the list that didn't quite make the top four, but I want to hear yours first before I mention anybody else.
So when I think of slime belly gutter snipe,
Mhm.
I think of somebody that did somebody wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, we little slime belly gutter snipe. Like that's a guy that like so
Yeah, I almost put one of my ex-girlfriends on there for that reason. Go ahead.
there you go. I got Lance Armstrong.
Mhm.
Lance Armstrong. Ooh, man, he was a little slime belly gutter snipe, wasn't he?
He had one of the slimiest bellies I've ever seen.
Fancy little man, greatest guy, superhero, but he was slimy on the backside.
Hmm.
Ryan Braun.
Mm.
Ryan Braun gets caught with a dirty piss test, immediately blames the person that drove the pee or whatever, tried to get him fired.
Drove the pee.
He drove it from the place to the sample place or whatever. Tried to get him fired.
Mhm.
Turns out he was dirty the whole time. That's a slime belly gutter snipe right there.
That is. Lied through his teeth.
Lied through his teeth. Um, I wanted to bring another baseball one in, and I'm gonna go with this because back in the day, if I was saying this back in the late '90s, early 2000s, I would have called Alex Rodriguez a slime belly gutter snipe for completely and totally ruining baseball by duping the Texas Rangers into way overpaying. He was going to be the highest paid player at like $180 million over 10 years and duped him into $250 million over 10 years.
How,
That's
what did he do to
there was him and Boris did they somehow got
involve
the
Scott Boras?
Rangers.
Pretty much all I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Actually, you know what? Boom. I'm taking A-Rod back off the list. Scott
Scott
Boris is
Boras.
a slime belly gutter snipe.
There you go.
That's who it was. It was Boris. Blaming it on Scott Boris. And
Uh,
last but not least, the man in which we all the reason we know what this is. Mr. Walter J. Welch. He'll probably never hear this, but Walter J. Welch is the one who gave us slime belly gutter snipe and uses it more often than anybody in a game of poker when somebody beats him. So here's to you, Walter J.
Shout out the originator.
There you
Nice.
go. That's my four.
There you go. Did you have anybody else in mind that didn't make your top four?
Pretty
Anybody?
much. I mean, I could probably come up with a million,
Yeah.
but that was the ones. Ryan Braun gets on my last nerves when all that went. Oh, I was oh,
People were not
what a
happy with it.
dirty, what a dirty little man. Dirty. You screw up, don't just start blaming it on everybody else. Own up. Same. I mean,
Now,
Lance Armstrong, same way.
sure, there are a lot of guys that did that same thing. Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds and those guys. I mean,
Yeah,
they're in this, I
yeah,
guess they're in the same
yeah.
boat.
But they just denied it.
Yeah,
Braun
that's
tried to
true.
get
I
a guy.
remember that they,
Braun tried to get a guy fired
yeah, that's messed
from
up.
his job.
Yeah.
I dislike that.
Yeah, that's no good.
Dislike that. Especially when you're a multimillionaire and that dude's probably making 50 grand a year to drive pee around in his car.
Hmm. I got, you know what? I'm in the market for a job. I gotta think. I gotta look for pee driving jobs.
There's got to be some out there.
There's got to be. It's yeah, there's these labs and stuff. You see the little cars going around with the
Yep.
lab
Yeah.
label on it. Yeah. Yeah. I'll pick up from Great American Ballpark and drive it on to the lab.
Piss and blood, baby. Piss and blood.
Yeah. All right, we have the title of this episode now. Um, the few guys that I few guys that I wrote down that I didn't. I mean, this isn't even worth mentioning, but Adolf Hitler I wrote down.
The slimiest gutter snipe.
He's about as slimy as it gets. Um, Christian Leitner came straight out of the gutter. R. Kelly, I mean,
Yeah.
another P.
There
Diddy
was,
kind of dude.
yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, he's a pretty slimy
I
guy.
feel like Floyd Mayweather's just a not likable person. I
Exactly.
don't feel like he did anybody wrong. He's just he
I
never
don't know.
got like slimy. He just kind of runs his mouth too much.
I will bet at some point, there will be a Floyd Mayweather documentary where stuff comes out
Oh well,
and
I mean, it's already come out that he's beat up women and stuff like that.
yeah,
That's came
yeah,
out
that's
before.
true. We already know about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
How about this? How about this? How about Justin Tucker?
Justin Tucker.
I really like it when it's a guy that people like and respect, and then they do something dirty. That's where I go, you're a little slime belly over there. I see you over there.
It sounds like he should get whatever the same punishment as old what's his name in Cleveland got because he did the same
11
thing.
games.
Yeah, which wasn't
Poor
enough.
guy got 11 games.
Yeah, yeah. But they did the same thing from what I understand. I don't know.
Yeah, they're creeping up. It's over 10 now. It's over 10 people.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Over 10 people. You think when all that went down with Deshaun Watson, Justin Tucker started like peeling his eyes back, like, oh,
and
what do I
also,
got?
Deshaun Watson's going, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Except all it's doing is bringing his name up more and more and more
Yeah, that's true.
because Justin Tucker's doing nothing but getting compared to him.
Yeah, that's true. Well, anyway, that's the Mount Rushmore of slime belly gutter snipes, and that was a fun one.
That was a good one.
I love that. I so the first time I ever heard it was your dad saying it, and he said it a bunch of times, and my brother and I laugh so hard every time we think of that, and I mean, I
Your
just
brother says it all the time. Every time he's talking to dad, somebody did something dirty. He always brings it up.
that and slippery dog, I still think is so
Mm,
funny. Oh God.
slippery dog's a good one.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. You know who is or is not, depending on what we're about to talk about, a slippery dog? Liza Treyger.
And we
I
all
found
figured
out it
out
was
that her name's
pronounced.
Yep,
Right,
not Liza. It's
right,
Lisa.
right. I know I've heard her name before, but it had been a while, and I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta
Well,
hear
then I
her.
found out that her parents are like from, I don't know, uh,
Somewhere,
Russia or where, I don't know, somewhere crazy where the Nazis were.
yeah. Okay. So the title of this was Night Owl, I think. Yes. Something like that. Yeah. Was it Night Owl? I think it was Night Owl.
I don't know, I think so. So we talked about this before. We've never watched a special from her.
No, I don't think so. I've heard
I'm
her
trying
name
to think,
before, but
like,
I didn't, as
I've
I'm
heard
watching her, I'm like, I don't think I've seen her do
she's
stuff.
on the Sirius XM comedy stations all the time.
Okay.
And like it's dirty. Like there's some crazy dirty stories that she's got. Like it's pretty I mean they're funny, but they're pretty dirty. This was not as dirty as I was making her out to be at all. It's not nearly as raunchy as I thought it was going to be. I mean, yeah, there was some parts where she said some crazy stuff, but she doesn't know what she is on the binary code or whatever the hell that is, but she really likes the consistency
Well,
of
I
certain
mean, you don't
things.
know what it is. She doesn't have the decoder ring. She doesn't know how to
She doesn't have the decoder ring.
know
Exactly. She doesn't know what
binary
it is.
code.
She just knows she likes the consistency. Um, anyway, uh, I I I found I for some reason I thought she was more polished. When you have to make it when she seemed really nervous
Hmm.
and she was at a small venue. I felt like it was really quick. I felt like a lot of her stuff, she was a lot quick talker. There wasn't a really good pace to it. I feel like she had to say something where they told her not to touch her hair. Somebody
Hmm.
told her not to touch her hair. That's like that feels pretty early on kind of stuff, right? Like it's crazy to me. Um, I also thought it was pretty funny. I thought she was pretty good. I thought her jokes were pretty good. They weren't as dirty as I thought. She had some good timing. Even her fast timing was good when she was like, I lost 40 pounds. Oh no, don't applaud to it yet. And then she's like, oh well. But she said it so fast and it was perfect because nobody could applaud. And then she turned it into that. That was perfectly done. Uh, there was a lot of things that I thought she did really good. I thought she could have slowed down a little bit. And I don't need to know that you're not supposed to touch your hair. Like that somebody told you not to touch your hair. She seems very insecure in
Hmm.
general, I feel.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know why that comment irritated me, but I keep going back to that. Um, and as I say that, I truly oh the stuff about her dad and then the pictures afterwards of all the pictures of all the things he actually did, like that was really funny. And how old they were when how old they were when she was born, and one of her friends were like, "Wow, you could have been Down syndrome or something like that." Like, oh, you're pretty lucky. That was really funny because they were 50 when she was born. Um, that was pretty good. Uh, no, I truly, I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be. I've heard her a few times and thought her jokes were really funny, but they're just individual jokes on a comedy station, right? Like you're only getting good. You're not getting the whole thing. You're just getting
Right.
good. But she was not as raunchy as I thought. She was extremely self-deprecating, and it was really funny. The plus size dress jokes had me dying laughing. Those were hilarious. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was okay. Thought it was okay. Do you want my number now or do you want me to wait?
Yeah, let's get your number now. I've already got mine written down.
3.3.
Okay. Pretty good.
3.3. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's over a three, we say, yeah, we definitely think you should listen. Four is like, that was awesome.
Hmm.
Uh, Under a three, do what you want to do with it.
Yep.
But I think this was good. I think it was definitely good enough to suggest to somebody to listen.
Yeah. Yep. Um, I was I thought I thought a bunch of her jokes were good jokes. I there was something that just I it didn't hold my attention. I started it over after about 10 minutes because I'm like, I'm not even
Is it
paying
her
attention.
voice?
Her voice was a big part of it for me. And it was her voice and it was all of the like ending a lot of her lines with but or
Uh,
like,
yeah.
that kind of stuff. I was like, oh gosh, this is just the the sound of it just wasn't
For some reason, I feel like that's part of the actual joke. Like I feel like that is part of
oh.
it. Like
You think
part
she's
of playing this character of who she is on stage. So
okay?
she does all that and it's like, but, and then she just stops, right?
Yeah, because
I feel like it's specifically put there and timed out
okay. Because sometimes she didn't do
personally.
that. And so, because sometimes she would like finish a line with something like that. And then she would start talking again in the next line, and I was like, "Well, you're not talking like that anymore." But there was like there were so many of them. I was
That's
thinking
why that's
this.
why I feel that way. Like I feel like that's an entered in part of it that she's trying to sound like that kind of girl. You know what I mean? That kind of
Okay,
annoyingness or whatever.
it could be. That
I
could
could
be.
be wrong about that.
I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of hard to tell. And so that took me out of it a little bit. And there was just, I don't know, I don't think that was it though. Like that wasn't the only thing. There was just something, I don't know, maybe I was just trying to do other stuff while it was going on, but it didn't grab my attention and keep it very well. Um, maybe
Hold
that's
on.
more my fault than anything,
Hold on.
but
Hold on. Don't say anything yet.
yeah.
Okay. I wrote a number down and we're gonna see if it's the same as your number. Go ahead, continue to talk.
Okay. Um, yeah, that's really all I had. I mean, there were some jokes that I kind of was like, "Oh, that's a pretty good joke." If this were in a different, if she said it in a different voice or with like a different inflection or something, it might have been a little bit like it might have come across a little bit funnier.
So
Uh,
what's the girl, what's the comic's name? She's married to another comedian. They do like they go up together and then they'll bring
Natasha
people up.
Leggero.
Natasha Leggero. I feel like a lot of what Lisa does is kind of like the Natasha thing where she's playing a character on stage.
Okay.
That's how I take it. If it's not that, then this would be very difficult to listen to because she'd be hard to listen to in general, just in life. But I don't feel like Natasha Leggero is legit like the way she is on stage all the time,
No,
right?
I think I like Natasha Leggero. I think
I
she's
love
funny.
Natasha Leggero.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're saying because she can do that, but it's like she's doing it. I feel like it's more clear that she'll do something like that for a joke on purpose.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so
I could be wrong about that. I could be totally wrong about this about
look,
that's just the way I look at it the same that in the same way that way.
sure, we don't know any of these comedians in person or anything like that, so we're just throwing out our perceptions of these things. But all right, you got your number ready?
On the count of three. One, two, three.
2.6. Oh, I can't see. Oh my God, no way. Uh,
Uh, Dude, I do this. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dave Portnoy, the guy that runs Barstool Sports,
oh
okay?
yeah.
The president of Barstool Sports. He
Yep.
does pizza reviews.
Hmm.
Okay. And he puts a pizza review out all the time. I can listen to him talking about a pizza and I start thinking of a number that I think he's going to give it. And I'm within point one every single time. I
Wow.
can listen. I feel like I'm getting close to being able to listen to you and know where you're going to be.
You've got a lot of practice.
Dude, how about that? How great
That's
is that that ended up perfectly? 2.6.
that. I mean, that is very impressive by you. That's that's so good. Yeah, one bite, everybody knows the rules. Um,
Exactly. You know who I'm talking about.
exactly. Yep. Um, 2.6. That's funny. I was thinking about while you were talking, I was like, maybe I should make it 2.7 or something like that, but I didn't. I didn't change it. And because I talked myself back into the 2.6.
This.
And I'm glad I did because that was a magical moment on this
That
podcast.
was a magical moment. Oh God, that's hilarious. All right. So all we have left is figuring out what we're gonna do for comedy next week and Mount Rushmore for next week.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So
Um,
yeah, you want to get started on the comedy and I'll tell you what we're gonna do for the Mount Rushmore.
yes. I have a comedy for next week. This is a guy who I'm pretty sure I think I saw live. Because I think he might have been with, he might have been, I don't know. I can't remember if I saw this guy live with anybody before, but this is one of Nate's guys, Nate Bargatze's guys. Um, Aaron Weber.
Okay.
Aaron Weber, you know Aaron Weber. Um, Aaron Weber is good, man. He's good, and he's the last when I first heard about him uh, a few years ago or whenever. I saw a little bit of his stand up, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's like, honestly, like at that time, I was like, this is maybe one of Nate's funniest or Nate's funniest friend. The
Yeah.
last year or so, I feel like I've seen some clips from some of his stand up, and I'm like, whoa, this guy's getting really good.
Yeah.
And so, and I saw like a trailer or like the first, 15 seconds or whatever of this new special he just put out on YouTube. And I'm like, gosh, this might be really good. I don't want to overhype it, but because I don't really know, but this guy's good. And he's been around Nate for a while now, and he's a Nashville guy and all that. So Aaron Weber, it's called Signature Dish. Signature Dish. It's on YouTube, so it's free of charge if you're watching or listening to this. Check it out. And I'm pretty excited about it. There are a bunch of things on YouTube and a couple more on Netflix we haven't checked out that are still new. And but this week for or next week we'll have Aaron Weber.
I like it. There's a dude, we can't keep up anymore.
No, we will never. Most of the
We're,
specials that come out will never do.
we're missing so many by now. You almost got to do a daily podcast to hit everything.
Hey, I'm up for
Just a comedy review special.
it.
That's
I
all we
do.
do.
I mean, it could
20
be a
minutes.
15-minute podcast.
Yeah. 10, 20 minute a night podcast. I'd be in for that.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
happy.
That'd be good.
Only one of us is retired though, so
That's true. That is true. Okay, so for the Mount Rushmore, we are going to go with you don't drink coffee or anything, do you?
I do not.
No, neither do I.
Good. So we should not do the Mount Rushmore of comedy. Comedy? Coffee. Oh boy. It's not even nearly as late as it usually is either.
I was gonna do hot drinks.
Oh, hot drinks.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm a
hot
tea
drinks.
guy. I'm a big tea guy.
Yeah, but I don't know different teas. So it would be hot chocolate and tea. That's the only thing I would have.
Those
I'd
are
be
it.
done after that.
Nestle hot chocolate, Swiss Miss hot chocolate, Kroger brand hot chocolate,
Yeah. Hershey's hot chocolate.
Hershey's hot chocolate. That's the Mount Rushmore of hot chocolates. We just did it.
We bought our kids these like mixers. They're like they've got a battery in them, and at the
Yeah.
bottom it's a little circle thing, and it just it vibrates.
Yeah.
And they make chocolate milk and hot chocolate all by themselves now all the time. That's like their go-to, and it's Hershey syrup, which is not my way that I would do it,
Right.
but it's what they do. Hershey syrup. 'Cause as far as I'm concerned, Hershey syrup just ends up at the bottom of the cup every time.
Yeah, if you let it sit.
But
Yeah.
they do a good job of mixing. But anyway, so um,
Mm.
let's do the Mount Rushmore of
Room temperature
red
drinks.
of red fruit.
Red fruit.
Yeah.
This is gonna be even harder than coffee for me.
I just was trying to think of something that there was at least five things of, so we could take leave something off. I feel like there's at least five red fruits.
Okay. Yeah, I have to look them up because I can't think of any. I got strawberries and that's it.
Tomatoes,
Tomatoes, that's true. That's a fruit.
tomatoes,
Yep, that's
red
definitely not on my list. Never
red
mind. Sorry, I'll save
grapes,
it.
red grapes.
Oh, red grapes, red grapes.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there.
You're right. You're right.
There's something that's like a what do they call those things from Georgia? The Georgia peach. That's like an orangish, but there's a lot of red in it.
Okay.
Oh, or is that peach? Is that color actually called peach? Oh, an apple.
An apple. Really, the only decent fruits are all red, to be honest with you.
So far, we've said one that I like.
Uh, okay. Red fruits.
Mhm.
All right.
That's terrible. All
Good
right,
thinking.
red fruit it is.
That's okay. Maybe it'll force me to try some fruit.
Good for you.
I when I say that, I mean I'm gonna get strawberry Kool-Aid, cherry Kool-Aid, raspberry Kool-Aid, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yes, exactly.
and I'm gonna get a red apple from the store, lick the outside of it, and throw it away.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. I feel like I would lick the inside before I'd lick the outside
Yeah,
because
the inside
everybody
does taste
touches
way
the
better.
outside. That's probably gross. And everybody's got their hands on it. Like that's nasty. But you do you, bro. That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, I wash it well. I don't get apples very often, but when I do, I wash them very well.
Can I tell you something? I don't know that I've ever washed an apple before I ate it. Is that the grossest thing in the world?
Yeah, it is.
I just thought of that. I don't think I wash an apple before I eat it.
Um it's not quite as gross as wearing bowling shoes from a bowling alley, but it's up there. It's up there with that.
Do
I
you
mean, what do
ask
you
them to spray them? Do you ask them to spray them before you wear them too?
you know what? You know this, but I went bowling last week and which is my one a year basically. Um there was a can of Lysol on the desk, on the front desk, and they put the shoes up there for me when I
Yeah.
ordered them, and I was hoping he was going to grab the can and spray, and
Now
he
they
didn't.
spray them when they get them back before they put them back in the shelf.
Sure, but to actually see them do it, not really. Um, but the can was right there, and I just looked at the can for a minute, and I thought about grabbing it myself and giving them a real good
Do
rinse.
they don't even use Lysol, don't they? Isn't it like a specific like generic blue aerosol can that just says bowling shoe spray?
It's just water in an aerosol can.
Oh
There's
man, it
no
looks like
cleaning
we're trying to
proper.
clean.
There's nothing that actually cleans them. No, this was a bowling alley I've never been to before in Mason. So,
Well,
they
you're in
used
Mason.
real
They're pro
Lysol.
they're probably new shoes. They probably give you a new pair of bowling shoes every time. You don't, they're not reusable.
Here are your disposable bowling shoes.
Yes,
Take them out
exactly.
of the package. No, it was bowling shoes, and I had my favorite socks on too, my favorite NBA socks on. I'm like, oh, this is gross.
Oh, that sucks. You have to bleach those.
Yeah, thank God they're
Don't
white.
wear white. Don't wear white socks to bowl
I know.
ever. Then you
I should have
really
just
know.
worn the socks.
Yeah, probably.
They'd have oil all over the bottom of them from the lane, but anyway.
Well, don't go into the lane. The
Well, no,
oil's only on the
not
lane.
the lane, not the lane. You're right. That's not, just the ed before you get there. It's
Don't
still a little
slide in.
slick. It's not
Hmm.
oil
Okay.
slick on the lane, but
Yeah.
okay,
Clean slick.
clean.
Clean wood slick.
Well, I don't know about that. There's a lot of people walking around those things. Kids all over the place,
Yep.
slobbering on them and sneezing on them. All right, I have a problem.
Love it. All right, man. I think we've pretty much hit it. So we've got
Hmm.
Aaron Weber, signature dish,
Hmm.
and we've got the Mount Rushmore of red fruit.
That's right.
Until next week, don't forget to turn your headlights on.